dream of Russia last night?
Yeah.
Ferguson, you make a
Hello.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Bianca?
Yeah.
Sean. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Glad you made it over here and not pushed away.
Nice to
Beautiful.
G'day, brother. How are you? Hey. We've just done Cairns and back. Hey, brother.
You guys have travelled further these last months.
So, yeah, doing a trip to Sydney is like
Nothing.
easy.
Breeze
Yeah.
in the park.
Where does he live?
Nowhere.
Yeah, literally now.
They've come from Cairns for this day.
Okay.
Old last year, and we literally.
Sounds very different.
Yeah, you think it's. Yeah, it's.
Now that I'm
Oh, it's a cute one.
Yeah. And
I like
then when
it.
I'm tired, but I never.
Yeah.
Concern today,
Yes.
we're going to do interview-ish type stuff.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
we can. And I was thinking it might be good to do it before we look at what's in there, because then you can speculate.
Okay.
Like, because I think we're playing with unknown and speculation, right?
No.
And
No.
my friend and I went out to the lawn because it was afternoon, and then this soldier came up. We were at we'll get onto it, and I'll tell you.
Maybe put.
In here?
Yeah, do the where's the film?
Well, we've got to film him.
Gotta find it.
Find him
Oh yeah,
in
well
the
that's
garage.
yeah.
I was a staff photographer with the Sydney Morning Herald back through the 1990s. In around 1995, I thought I'd take a break from working on the newspaper and head over to Russia. I was interested in Russian politics from an early age, and I was interested in Russian culture very much. Back then, it took for me to prepare myself for the time that I was going to spend in Russia. I needed at least a year of preparation, so it was around 1995, probably a little bit earlier, that I decided that I'd make a decision to head to Russia in 1996. To be completely honest, I really had no focus. I had no real expectations, or I wasn't there to try and prove anything. Really, I just wanted a change of scene. I wanted to, put myself into a different, setting. I thought it might help develop my work outside of Australia. I felt I was being limited here in what I could produce. In the year that I'd spent preparing myself, I'd saved the money that allowed me to, I figured, work for a year and a half without having to chase work. I had story ideas that I wanted to pursue, and I wanted to produce them in my own time without deadlines and people directing me how things should be shot. I thought that was important for my own development. Initially I thought, and it was naive, I believed that I might go and produce a story on the Chechen mafia. In the time that I was preparing myself, the Russians invaded Chechnya. I still headed to Russia. I based myself in Moscow, and I made a couple of trips into Chechnya during the 1996. During my period in Russia, which was from 1996 and it spilled over into 1997, I produced a lot of stories on Russian social issues, environmental issues, human rights issues in some of the former stands and things like that, as well as a few trips into Grozny, where I worked with a fellow Australian journalist, Robin Dixon, in Chechnya. Shooting work in Chechnya was it was pretty disturbing. I'd never stepped into a theatre of war before. I was very green. When I arrived in Grozny, it was like arriving in Dresden in the Second World War. Grozny was very empty at the time. Most buildings were empty, rubble, and tanks were rolling round. And night time, the skies were full of tracer fire and mortar fire that was happening right across the city each night, every night. So for someone young as I was, as green as I was, that was quite a difficult sort of situation to become acclimatised to. In between assignments working in Russia, I'd, like many people, would spend time on the streets, and a lot of the work I produced on the streets ended up essentially into a box. I threw films into a box that in between assignments I was unaware of what was on those rolls of film. I just knew I had to get them out of the camera to prepare for assignment-based work. So I've accumulated, I think, around 30 or have remaining about 30 or 40 rolls that to this day remain undeveloped. So this here would be the camera that most of this has been produced on. That was my most trusted FM2. I think it still works. I think that most of the work that is on the rolls of film would possibly be from Moscow. They could be from some of the stands I visited, like Uzbekistan or Kazakhstan. I did lose a lot of film at the time. In my time in Russia and living in Moscow, I would eventually produce a lot of stories for international magazines. At the time, the demands of those magazines were to send negatives, so I was developing negatives in Moscow and carrying them to magazines and newspapers, to international mastheads, which most of it I never ever got back. It was difficult to trace where those negatives were going, but the work we are hopefully going to see, today or when this work is developed, will, I believe, largely be from Moscow. Mostly street photography, I'm presuming. I can't be sure. I really don't know what's on it to be true, or I really don't know what it's going to uncover, if anything. Over the past 20 years, I've considered developing the film, but then life tends to get in the way of doing things like that. So it's just I've never got it out, or up until now. In one way, it's a bit nerve-wracking to develop this film. But then there's a bit of excitement. I'm hoping there's something on there, or at least some good images. I'm hoping we will be able to retrieve something that is at least decent. I was, in many ways, I became a much better photographer after my time in Russia. I don't think I was that. When I look back at it, I wasn't a brilliant photographer. I'm not even a brilliant photographer now, but I was young back then. I was really young and naive. I guess there's a certain fear that what comes out of these negatives will basically contradict the sort of photographer I thought I was at the time. I was probably disillusioned about my own level of photography, and I guess in some ways this might show it up for what it really was, and for that reason I guess I've kept these rolls of film locked away for a quarter of a century, and well, we're about to see what's on them. Well, this is part of the fucking overall problem. This shows what I've had to live with all my life. We've got water coming. This is not the first time. We've had it much worse. We've had this whole fucking floor under water, and you can see on the ground it's just seeping. Like there's just too much water up here, and it's just moving, across the floor in rivulets. So this is my archive here, contained in this. This is a pinhole camera that my father built for me in 2005. I used it for a 6-week assignment. well, not assignment, but an art project really, and well, I've used it ever since as storage for my archive, and so it's essentially all my negatives over my 30-year long career, and as you can see, it's all getting warped in this humidity and stuff. But I should do it. And I'm hoping that my negs are in there somewhere. There are photographs too. And this is not the optimum place, to hold an archive, anyone's archive for that matter. These are prints. Jesus Christ. This is my dad's archive, what was left of his illustrious photographic career in there. At least I kept that safe. But it's got to be in one of these boxes, and I know it is. There's some writing on things. So they're just negatives, boxes of negatives. I don't even know what's in them. Negatives. They could contain anything.
Gonna go to the local.
It's a bag.
No, sorry.
Oh.
These are just reams and reams of unfiled negatives.
You're not sleeping tonight, you guys. Just scanning everything. This is his chance to get his archive digitised.
Yeah, this is probably some good.
Stuff like this.
Just give us the one of those. Let's see what that is.
Seeing all.
That's a real Dean Sewell picture.
Wow. Well, that's no idea what's on them yet. This will give me something to do when I'm old. Negatives from Chechnya. Not the developed ones, obviously. My favourite photographers were like Stuart Davidson, and and my early inspiration was like guys like Werner Bishkoff and obviously James Natchway. Could be there. Could be the box. This is it. I'm hoping. So at least they've been packed up well. Russian film. Timor slides. So right there, Russian film, 20 years. Well, so that was 6 years ago. Ah, this is the find. Look at this. Parachutes. Bungers. A couple of them left. Look at things of parachutes.
It's a lot from tonight.
Who remembers one of them? Parachuters.
That was great.
And Crazy Jacks. That's gonna be it. I'm sure. Oh, that could be it. Or they all could be it.
What did you say these prints are from?
They're from East Timor, they're ones. But in here got slides and heaps and heaps of negatives.
Yes.
gosh, this is a brand new dart bag. Never been used before. Pretty cool. Let's hope
Good christening.
Let's hope it's lightproof.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Great christening.
We'll see.
Okay.
Have you done it? No.
What's that? Load them? Yeah, they've been loaded. Yeah. That's the...
And I walked out and I was like, Snow led away and I'm like, hi! That's my girl!
It hasn't seen the light of day for 26 years, that thing.
I just had to go through my options and then I came back and just...
Exciting. Nervous.
So I'm going to
Yeah,
measure
I'm nervous in case something that just doesn't work at all and ends up being just full. I don't know what.
65, 50. Well, it says for this type of film, it says 1 to 30. So I've gone basically 1 to 15, like an extra double a dev, and then thought we'd give another third to the time and just see what happens. Just going to wash the film in water and rinse it here a little bit. So agitate it and give it a minute over the sink and then tip that out. And we should get maybe a bit of colour of the...
It's kind of nerve-wracking in a way, isn't it?
No.
Nah.
It is what it is. Doesn't matter. Local staff, birthday parties, like families, babies, and you had this studio and you had this backdrop.
I always thought that there would have. I didn't know those things. I always thought that your temperature would have to be hotter for some reason.
Yeah, I always usually do about 24 degrees, and I don't know. I just run my. I don't really care. I just develop them. Looks alright to me. It's not that precious.
No, that's not.
You were my man
Sean,
for this
that's
job.
That's Sean I'd do it because I'd be too God, what's the temperature? I'd have the thermometer in the water and gauging everything from the temperature, and I always thought it was far more critical.
So what I'm going to do now is just put the fixer in, and I give that about 12 minutes or so, and that will after that we'll be able to wash the film and see what it looks like.
Maybe one of those rolls. There's just a wind on, and there's nothing on it. Just
Such an anticlimax.
Yeah. Oh, 2 rolls. There's got to be something there, surely.
All right, how's the right feeling? I'm getting a bit nervous now.
I saw this when I just started uni on the walls of the RSCV club, and I'd never heard of Oculi. I had no idea a documentary photo could look that good. And I just wanted to let you know, I've thought about telling you for ages.
Does it look like anything's on it?
I've got something on it.
Ooh. All this stuff. That's St Basil's Cathedral.
So I reckon it's
Perfect.
it looks pretty good.
It's perfect. How could it last so long and just be fine?
Look at that. That's nice. A couple of portraits there. They look good.
It's having no sense.
They'll scan up nice.
I can see the domes in St Basil's Cathedral, so obviously, but it looks like a long lens picture.
Okay.
They're actually there. There's stuff on it, and they look fine, don't they?
Yeah, I'll probably give them maybe. I might just go back to a standard type development. It looks. Like you can see, I actually don't know this this film whether the base, like the rebate and stuff, should be a bit clearer, or whether that's a bit of fog from time, or. But yeah, There's plenty of detail there. Look, just take it to the window maybe and have a look. So I reckon we'll reduce the development, just kind of, or just like normal.
Stuff around church or something. Dogs. Street dogs. Dogs chasing cars. A lot of street dogs there. And red stuff in Red Square. And dogs just lying around Red Square. Bits of Kremlin. Stars and Stalin's buildings. Maybe. So yeah, we got images. And the exposures are fine. I was on. Let's get a show on. But yeah, I trained the station signs. I know which one I was in.
No, you didn't.
No.
Not on this road.
Yeah.
And,
Pull it out a little
don't
bit.
necessarily make it through that stage. And then they get in and they're
Beautiful arches.
Yep, that'd be it.
Does it matter that there's drops on it as it's drying, or that?
Well, that's what the dishwashing liquid's supposed to
Supposed to do.
stop, and so it kind of planes off.
Oh, okay.
Good pictures. Well, I hate to use the term good and bad. What is good and bad? There's some pictures that are very...
There's no such thing.
Yeah, it's enticing. There's some
There's some
enticing work.
compositionally sound interior there.
Excellent though.
It goes on.
Nice. Is it like
So we're just gonna get Dean to pick his very first
Oh, right.
egg. Yeah, to scan.
And then we had a wine. We used to call it wind on exhibition.
Mm.
Like, you know when you load your camera, and you go like,
Yeah.
you wind a few times.
Yeah.
Whatever you came up with, like what frame, like so you might have been just scan them all.
Yeah.
That's incredible. How
Yeah.
did it do so fast anyway? They used to be so slow.
Yeah.
The Arctics was like, and then it took like 5 minutes to scan each neg.
And then select all.
See, there's the wedding. It has to be the wedding. There has to be a horse in it. It must be.
Here's what you can have a look, you sit down and just
Scan
press
through
that.
them.
Yeah.
Hey, she's got like fucking grease or something.
wow, nice.
I did take the station.
It's the wedding.
It's the wedding. I thought I was at Moscow University for some reason, but I wasn't there. Must be over. God, it looks so 80s, doesn't it? It looks before decades before I even took it.
Imagine finding that couple again, like after all these years. Being like, oh yeah, I was at your wedding. That's cool.
Some good stuff there, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, seeing these photos and thinking about the acts, like, it's just also so life and death, right? Like,
Oh, that's great.
It's a great turn when he was young. Quite incredible looking back. Yeah, it's certainly on pictures you can't remember taking. It's because normally when you develop film, you have an expectation or knowledge of what you shot. Right? I can't remember what I was shooting. It looks so old. Probably now I'd be I guess my compositions would be more structured. It'd be cleaner, probably more sanitised even. I don't know.
Is there a sense of relief though, that compared with what we're talking about this morning?
Yes, I mean definitely. Like it's so good to see that this sort of stuff is coming to life. Yeah, I'm really happy though. To get anything really.
Should we put another roll?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm really happy actually. Like my first tendency is to be critical of anything really in my own work, but yeah, I have to sort of make allowances. I was young, and these I'm so happy. I am really happy that they're there. You know, that I've got them. You know, and I'll spend a lot more time looking at them and prodding them and working them and stuff like that. But yeah, like no, it's quite extraordinary to see pictures after 26 years. I mean, I think I have to like really let it sink in.
Совсем узуб он разложился на плесени, на липовый мед, а перестройка все идет по плану, и вся грязь превратилась в голый лед, и все идет по плану, все идет по плану, о моей судьбе захотелось на покое, обещал ей не участвовать в военной игре, но на форске на моей серп и молот и звезда, как это трогательно, серп и молот и звезда, лихой фонарь, ожидания мотаются, и все идет по плану. Все идет по плану, а моей женой накормили толпу, мировым кулаком растоптали ей грудь, всенародной свободы растерзали ей плоть, так закопайте ее во Христе, ведь все идет по плану. Все идет по плану, все идет по плану, все идет по плану. Идет по плану, а все идет по плану, все идет